Good afternoon. Would like to call the meeting for the Finance Committee for November 2nd to order. And we have, let's see, we have 5 members present, so we have a quorum. And hang on here. No other board members, so I know, but I need a motion for approval of the meeting minutes for October 5th of 2022. We have a motion from Member Barnett, and we have a second by Member Lehman. And I did see you, Chuck. We'll get you next time. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to those meeting minutes? All right, seeing none, then all in favor of approval of those meeting minutes, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good, motion passes. Do we have members of the public or employees?
Chair Metzger, we have no requests this evening.
Very good. We're going to move on to departmental matters, and we'll have 4A. Marshall Thompson, and she has an item to be presented, and that is request approval of a contract with Changing Seasons Lawn and Landscaping, Inc. And may I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion by Vice Chair Thompson and a second by Member Erickson. All right, and Marshall, if you'd like to give us an overview of what's been taking place. We see we've got a number of bids, and you've chosen one, so if you want to give us a summary, please.
This is the company that we used last year. They did a really fantastic job. They came in with the lowest bid, so we'd like to have this for consideration. And we need good quality service for removing the ice and snow from the parking lot and sidewalk area so that the public and employees can get to the facility daily, especially when inclement weather comes. We get a lot of drifting snow. So appreciate your consideration.
Does anybody have any questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving this contract, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And you have monthly reports. Do you have any anything to add? Anything that you'd like to enlighten us with?
Plenty of dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens for adoption. So if you could help me spread the word, I'd really appreciate it, or bounce onto our Facebook page. And you can see all the fantastic photos we have of the animals needing a forever home. And we're ready for the slower time of year to get here so we can start getting caught up with some things. So really excited about that. And we had a good Halloween time, and lots of people coming out and looking at animals for fun things. So that was really good.
Okay. I'm sorry?
Scary animals?
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much. Tim Jorzak, we have 4B1A, and that's request approval of a contract for professional appraisal services. And I may have a motion to put that on the floor. We have a motion by Vice Chair Thompson, and we have a second by Member Lehman. And Mr. Jorzak, please proceed.
Well, thank you, Chairwoman Metzger. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight. This contract is a professional services contract for the data collection and improvement valuation for the Rivian site out in obviously out in White Oak Township.
I think it's Dry Grove.
Dry Grove, I'm sorry. Same appraisal district, Dry
It
Grove,
is,
White Oak
you're
District.
right. You're right.
So this contract is to do the data collection of the expansion out there on the plant. We have we've been working on getting this information now for the last couple months. We didn't have any final numbers until after the budget window had kind of been adopted, so it's the reason why we're kind of coming at it a little bit late. We have been working with several stakeholders in the different taxing jurisdictions to come up with a plan to sort of tackle this project. This is a project unlike anything that anybody has seen in a long time, not just in McLean County, but frankly in central Illinois and probably beyond, with the scope and breadth of what they are doing out there with the permits that have come in. We want to make sure that as these improvements are coming on over the next 24 to 36 months, that we are getting the clearest possible picture and the best output for the data that comes in. The firm that we chose here is a company called Thomas Y. Pickett. They are based out of Texas. They specialize in industrial, heavy-duty manufacturing, utility type projects for the mass appraisal industry. They are a very specialized company that primarily focuses on this particular work. So they are very well suited to exactly what we want to have done here. So that's why we ultimately chose them. I did, as you can see in the memo, we looked at attempted to get several other mass appraisal firms, and this is such a specialized field that there was not a lot of either outside interest or ability in being able to do this particular work. So I'm very comfortable with the choice of Pickett, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the contract for the professional appraisal services, say aye. Opposed? Very good. Motion passes. Anything else? I do want to, he had his last meeting here for Bloomington, and I think, did that get recorded? And
Yes.
so it is online, I believe. So if you would like to, and I do recommend every taxpayer, it's a really good presentation, explanation to the equalization process that took place. And so I encourage everyone to take a look at that. But I will say they were all excellent, and I, again, want to thank you and your staff members and Ms. McNeil, and then we also had Mr. Bonds, I think, came, and Kathy Michael was at a couple, so that teamwork was impressive, so I wanted to thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's, as you alluded to, the last batch of notices went out on last Tuesday, the 26th, for City of Bloomington Township and Old Town Township, the last two townships to publish. And so their deadline will be on November 28th for their appeals window to close. We're still hoping to have our year end at the normal time, December 31st. The appeal load thus far, knock on wood, has not been, has still been under what we had last year. So we're confident that we'll be able to get there. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
We are going on to 4C, and that is Michelle Anderson. I don't believe she's here. She has nothing on the agenda. So we'll move on to 4D, 1A, and that is accept and place on file the county treasurer's monthly financial reports. May I have a motion, please? We have a motion by Vice Chair Thompson and a second by Member Lehman. And I think does everybody have copies? Okay, very good. And Ms. McNeil, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. The first report is a summary of tax revenue. And the month of October has been no different than the previous months here in 2022. Our countywide sales tax came in at $646,000 compared to $552,000. That was a nice bump. The unincorporated, $92,000 compared to $71,000 a year ago. Cannabis down a little bit, PPRT way up. Again, these are calculations that come to us from the state of Illinois, kind of at their mercy. Overall, though, our revenue for the month of October, $2.2 million compared to $1.6 million a year ago. We look at our year-to-date vouchers, we have a revenue of $15,486,000 compared to $11.3 million a year ago, so we're $4.1 million above where we were in 2021. When looking at the budget, our budget very conservatively estimated $12.1 million, and our revenue again is at $15.4 million. So we are currently at $3.3 million over budget, and we still have several months of revenue yet to record. When looking at the shared sales tax, Town of Normal for the month of October, $168,000. City of Bloomington, $243,000. Together, that was $412,000 compared to October of 2021 at $380,000. Overall, the year-to-date shared sales tax is $4,043,000, which is up $427,000 over 2021. The fund equity in that shared sales tax fund is $14.3 million. The property tax revenue, the budget called for $38.2 million. Currently, the county has received distributions of 96.2%, $36.8 million. We'll finish that up during the month of November. Our tax sale is on Friday. And then motor fuel tax, again, you can see the impact that the renewal fund has brought into the county motor fuel fund. Total $3,053,000, and township motor fuel $2,577,000. So the next report is the investment report, and you know, this report, when I look back to October of 2021, and just the Illinois funds rate alone back a year ago was at 0.02%, and today it is at as of October 31st, it was at 3.21. And so, you know, that's really going to be beneficial to us as we continue to move through 2022. The treasuries continue to outperform CD rates. A year ago, we were getting 0.25 on a collateralized CD. Right now, CDs are still lagging. Primarily, we're looking at treasuries. And the Fed made another move today. And so we probably will start looking at not just 1 year, but maybe even 2 year, and trying to capture some of those higher rates. The overall investment portfolio, $123.8 million. And in regards to, on page 1, down there towards the bottom, that ARPA fund, Fund 163, the interest that we are going to earn on these treasuries goes to the general fund. So this is going to be huge when we look at 2022 and 2023. So
May I ask
something
a
to add
question
there.
about
Yes.
that?
Yes.
If we are going to have additional revenue because of the investment, how does that get spent then? Is that required to go through the same kind of process that all ARPA, or does that go to the general fund?
That goes directly to the general fund. what's happening right now is we're recording it in the ARPA fund as a liability due to the general fund. So it's not showing as revenue in the ARPA fund. It is just going to get transferred into the general fund and show as revenue in the general fund. So, yeah, we would not want to show it as revenue in the ARPA fund. Any other questions?
Member Thompson?
I'm not going where you think I'm going. I've already made that point. That horse is dead. We've drug it around the table once or twice. Question I was going to ask.
We'll come back to you.
It has to do with the interest. Let me think about it. I got distracted, and it has to do with the interest. So the ARPA dollars, that's a static number that we have generated from the federal government, correct? And it can't be fluctuated. So that's not what I was going to ask, but other than spending,
Well, the
right?
county is spending those ARPA dollars.
Right, but it can't be,
But
yeah,
the interest that's earned on the cash balance
goes back to the general fund.
is, according to Treasury guidelines, everything is still written, and 102 treasurers across the state of Illinois are following it, and throughout the country, that U.S. Treasury guideline indicates that the interest goes to the general fund, goes to the county's general fund. So that's a huge benefit to us because
Well,
we didn't
$25
have that
million,
money,
4%
you know,
of 25
2
million
years
is
ago.
a
And
chunk of change.
when we're earning rates of, what's the last rate we booked? The last rate we booked was over 4% on 2.9 million. So, I mean, that's 120,000 if you just do the simple math. So,
You said 2.5, 25 million.
what? No, we're not investing all of it. County board, I work with the county administrator's office and talk with Assistant
Gotcha.
Administrator Kathy Dreyer.
You need
And
liquidity.
we talk about what plans are in the works and what projects are currently in place. And as you can see, these are all very, very short-term investments. These are going out, these treasuries are only going out 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. And we only have one at this point in time that is out for 1 year. Because the county is not going to have this ARPA money indefinitely. It's going to be spent, or it's probably going to have to be returned.
I think that maybe was my original question, but we have a timeline, and it's like pretty soon, pretty short. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the.
Speaking of that timeline, it varies. Is that, and maybe Ms. Dreyer is the one, or maybe Ms. Taylor can help us, but on the ARPA funds, try to help me understand the deadlines or the deadline that we have.
So the funds need to be obligated by the end of 2024, and they have to be spent by the end of 2026.
Okay, and so moving on, the next report that you have is the Employee Benefit Fund report. Last month, we had our claims expenses at $971,000. And that was almost double. I said I was going to ask about that, and we hadn't heard back from Blue Cross Blue Shield by the time of the meeting, but that was actual claim activity. So just wanted to confirm that that wasn't some type of administrative error on the part of Blue Cross Blue Shield or some type of adjustment there. It was actual claim activity. During the month of October, our claim activity was $547,000. Compared to $599,000 a year ago. So overall, here in 2022, we have $5.4 million in claim expenses, and that's up by $413,000 over 2021. Any questions on that? And then going on to the final report is the Nursing Home Fund 0401, their operating fund. During the month of September, their revenue on their major sources was $730,942. When you look at the overall revenue, total revenue, $734,490. Their expenses were $850,569. So their expenses actually exceeded their revenue for the month of September. The accumulated revenue, $6,502,000, and accumulated expenses, $5,867,000. So we're in a very good position as of the end of September, where the revenue year to date is exceeding the expenses by $635,000. The accounts receivable at the end of September was $3,968,000. That's actually up $421,000 since the beginning of the year. I know that, the nursing home has been working on this. This is something that they're actively involved in, making adjustments, and hopefully we'll see more adjustments by the end of the year, because I know that's something that our auditors really wanted the nursing home to narrow in on. Cash and investments, the cash was at $95,470. The resident trust, $47,000, total $142,000. Cash is actually down $324,000 compared to the beginning of the year. That's a little concerning to me, but as long as the nursing home keeps improving on their revenue, and their revenue exceeds their expenses, and they're collecting on their AR, then they should be able to turn that around. Fund equity, $4,187,000. That fund equity is up by $635,000 compared to where we started here in 2022.
Questions? Thank you so much for all of this. Don't see any questions, but we do need to vote on 4D1A. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Very good, motion passes. Thank you very much. And thank you, I know you were at all those meetings and contributed. I especially liked the last meeting where we had an actual tax bill, and I think it was important for people to be able to look at that and to understand, even though you show a pie chart of how this money is collected, and it's collected by the county, but it's not spent by the county. Seeing that tax bill and having it separated, I think, was very helpful. So thank you so very much.
Yes, and Tim does a phenomenal job in explaining what happens during the assessment process. And, it's interesting because we're on the receiving end of the numbers after they've come from the township assessor and the board of review, supervisor of assessments, Illinois Department of Revenue, county clerk. A lot of people don't realize it's a 2-year process. That's what we talk about, the tax cycle. And that what Tim is working on right now, we'll see next year, and we're finishing up what they started working on in January of 2021. So I'm very grateful for all that he does to keep things rolling along, and his educational sessions. That's been extremely informative to me as well. So,
Yep. So thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to 4E, and that's Kathy Michael. She has nothing to present and no items for action. So her reports are in the packet, and I think they're relatively stable. They look very, nothing unusual. But if you do see something that you have a question about, please contact her, and she will put you she will connect you with the individual that can help answer those questions. So we'll move on to 4F1A, and that is request approval of the fiscal year 2023 compensation plan, and that is found on 33 through 44. And I have a motion to put that on the floor. We have a motion by Member Lehman and a second by Member Vice Chair Thompson. And Ms. Taylor, please.
Thank you, Chair Metzger. So each year, we are required to present to the Finance Committee a compensation plan for the new fiscal year that represents our non-represented employees. And so this plan for fiscal year 2023 has been updated to include changes that were recommended as part of our salary and compensation study, including increases or new definitions related to the pay increases as well as the pay categories. And I can entertain any questions.
I just wanted to highlight just a couple of things that I thought that on page 37, the little chart under quartile, I think that's very helpful because that's throughout this document, it continues to be referenced. So I think that's quite helpful. Your definitions were also important to have at the beginning. One thing I didn't understand, and you did explain it to me prior to this meeting, and if you could please provide an understanding of the administrative office of the Illinois Courts Probation Division, that AOIC is also referenced throughout this document. And so I would like you to provide a little bit of insight as to what's the uniqueness of that and why it's identified throughout, please.
I appreciate the opportunity to do so. So the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts is the administrative branch that governs the salaries for the Court Services Department. They are part of the judicial branch of government, and they set the salaries for all of our approximately 75 employees that are reimbursed through the state for probation and our juvenile detention center. And so there is coordination between those two offices, the county administrator's office, the court services department, and AOIC when setting salaries and salary ranges for the different positions that are governed by that department.
Thank you. The other piece that I thought was going to be helpful maybe for this department or this oversight committee is on page 40, and that's establishing salaries, and it talks about with new hires how there's a maximum of 13% of how you determine kind of that new hire salary and experience, education, and additional credits that are given for an individual coming into work for our county. Hopefully, we'll be getting more of those, but it can, I think this was a good addition to add some clarity. So, and anything, it really limits or provides more standards, I think. So I wanted to make a comment on that. And then I think the last thing was on page 41, and that is C on page 41, that would elected officials, and it's talking about bringing any oversight committee, if there are, if this doesn't work in establishing the salaries, there's some language to bring that to an oversight committee, of which we see more, I think, than some of the other other committees. It seems that and so hopefully this will diminish some of that we saw recently.
That is our hope.
And then lastly, when I first came to be on this board, and I wasn't even on finance, and I have a compensation background, and I was very confused by all these steps and 100 different, I can't even remember, 100,
101.
okay, 101. And it just was very confusing, and I thought it would be extremely confusing for an employee to try to navigate that. And so on page 43, I think we see a much nicer, a narrowing of that, and I just wanted to, again, make note that some people have been working diligently with this, our HR area, and I really want them to know that I personally appreciate this, and I think our employees will see it as a positive, so, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Member Erickson?
These are really more for clarification. This ordinance doesn't apply to union employees like the deputies union. It wouldn't apply to them.
That is correct.
Okay, and would it apply to the employees of the circuit clerk?
Yes.
Okay, and I asked you now that Member Metzger had pointed this out, this paragraph C on page 41. How are they doing over there? Because we know, and I think I asked you about this last night, but I think I want to know a little bit more about it. We let Don go early, right?
Correct.
And has he caught up yet, or is he still behind, or is the salary that he is offering, is it helping, or does he need to adjust it, or where are we at on that? Is it too early to tell? I mean, you know.
I can offer a little bit of insight on that. I still think it is too early for him to be fully staffed. I know that there has been an increase in the candidate pool after the increase in the last quarter for the circuit clerk's salary. I also know that there were staff who returned to his employ after the increase in salaries, and others that have staved off possible retirement or ending their career with the county. But he is not yet fully staffed, but we are in the right direction.
If he had to say, this isn't working, I got to adjust it more, what would be the process? If he had to. I mean, I'm not saying he does.
I would come back to the county board to have that discussion with this. That would be outside of our current budget and compensation plan, so I'd have to come back to the board.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, on that same topic, though, the same structure study took place and with the county or the circuit clerk's office. So you're pretty confident that the adjustments that have been made they fall into place and that would continue to allow him more ease in filling his positions?
Yes, I think the new classification system and the increase to the starting wage will be more attractive to employees to come on board.
Okay, so any other questions related to the compensation plan for 2023? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving that fiscal year 2023 compensation plan, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to 4F1B, and that's request approval of fiscal year 2023 recommended budget for IMRF Fund 0131, and that's on page 45. And may I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion by Member Barnett, a second by Member Lehman. And Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. So each year, we come to the board and request approval of budgets that would set our FTE list and ranges of pay. And then the second part of that is to calculate the fringe benefits that accompany those FTEs. And so this is to approve the recommended budget for 2023 for the IMRF pension system.
Are there any questions? I do have one, and that is, we have something for Ford County on here. Reimbursement Ford County? Help me understand, and that's intergovernmental.
So for 2023, that amount is 0. For last year, there was a request by the chief judge to have one of our McLean County employees assist Ford County when they were in between a director for court services. And so we accommodated Ford County and assisted them through their transition, and they reimbursed us for the portion of that salary that was theirs.
And we are not seeing that for this coming year then?
No, they are fully staffed at this point.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. All in favor of approving the budget for IMRF, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to 4F, 1C, and that is request approval of 2023 recommended budget for Social Security Expense Fund 0130, and that's found on page 46. May I have a motion, please? We have a motion by Vice Chair Thompson and a second by Member Barnett and Ms. Taylor.
Following the same vein as 4F1B, this is to pay for Social Security for those same employees.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor of 4F1C, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good, motion passes. Moving on, we are at 4F1D, and that is approval of a Class C raffle license. And I think that's for the VFW, I believe.
That is correct.
VFW, and may I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion by Member Lehman, a second by Member Barnett. And I guess if we want to buy some tickets, it looks like they have a pretty interesting little raffle going on.
So this is for the VFW Post 454, and this is for their Queen of Hearts raffle.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving the VFW's Class C raffle license, say aye. Opposed? Seeing none, that means that motion passes. Now we are going on to 4F1E, and that is request approval for fiscal year 2023 recommended budget for General Fund 001, Assessment Office, Department 0049, Property Assessment Reviews Supervised Program 0054. And may I have a motion? We have a motion by Vice Chair Thompson and a second by Member Lehman. And I'm assuming this probably has to do with what we just talked about of needing a little bit more money to have Rivian reviewed. So if you want to go ahead and discuss that, Ms. Taylor.
That is exactly right. So with new information that came after the previous approval, we need to adjust the budget for fiscal year 2023 for that industrial assessment.
Okay, any questions, comments? All in favor of 4F1E, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Ooh, man, you've got a lot today.
I do.
4F1, no, I don't think so. We can go to Z. We're at F, though. Request approval of a master agreement, statement of work, audit services, and statement of work, direct examination services with an outside auditor. And that's found on page 58 through 84. I may have a motion to put that on the floor. I have a motion by Member Erickson and a second by Vice Chair Thompson.
This action item is in relationship to our outside audit that is completed every year. We have a letter from CLA that they would like to continue their relationship with us. Before seeking out this letter, we did speak with our financial departments, the auditor and treasurer, to seek their input in engaging them further, and found that their work was exactly what we needed, and also entrusted CLA with extra work that was needed with ARPA funding. So we'd like to engage them for our next year's audit.
So we'll see Hope Wheeler again if we approve this? All right. Any questions or comments? I have a question by Member Erickson.
You've refreshed my recollection here. Were we rotating these every several years, or what were we doing? I can't remember.
Yes, so there were limits to the contract this time that we would review, and I'm not sure what the time frame was, every 7 years. I know that this last time we had our last company for more than 7 years, I believe. I'd have to go back and look at my notes to be certain of that time frame, but we do have term limits on these accounts so that we will review that and bring that to the board to consider a new company should it need.
Yeah, I wasn't
needed.
trying to put you on the spot. I was just trying to remember how we did that. I was thinking we did rotate them out for various reasons, and I just couldn't remember where we were at on this rotation.
Is this our second or third? Third? Okay. Right. Member, or Vice Chair Thompson.
I kind of stepped back just so you.
know, I need to back up.
No, just curious, as we look for additional auditors, is the pool pretty large, or is it pretty limited that is available to do this scope of work?
There's a significant number of firms that conduct this work for us to get a good request. When we send out for requests for proposals, I think this last round of RFPs that we sent out, there were 3 or 4 firms that came to the information session that we held. So
That's good.
there's several responses.
Thank you. Didn't forget this.
All right. Member Lehman?
And not sure if it really matters since it's on the informational letter, but on 58, it looks like the third paragraph might have a couple Scrivener's errors. Just that second sentence in the third paragraph says because the maintain experience, perhaps it should be they, or as well as later on in the sentence after semicolon and because the maintain. So we have the maintain twice, or perhaps not. Either way.
No, I will, I'm not seeing where you're at, but I will get with you after the meeting
Okay,
so that
yeah, sure
they're
thing.
corrected for the full board.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all of those.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of for F1F, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We don't have any other items, so for F2, we don't, is there anything other, falling in the other? All right, so we'll move on to for F2B.
I would recommend we pay the bills before we go in
Oh,
closed session.
absolutely, good idea. Thank you. I was ignoring you again, not intentionally. We do need to pay bills before we, I'm gonna miss you. I will miss you when you're gone. And I'll miss Member Barnett too. And heck, you might miss me. I might not be here. So, we don't know. None of us know. So, just come out and visit you then. We'll both be free, won't we? All right. We have bills to pay to the total, and we have a note from our auditor that says that the bills are certified and comply to the adopted ordinances, resolutions, and policies to the county code. And the total is $1,838,325.08. May I have a motion to approve that? We have a motion by Member Lehman and a second by Member Erickson. And all in favor? Very good. Motion passes. And that then will move us into the next phase, which is for F2B, and that's closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 102-2C11, pending litigation. Litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when a public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes in a closed meeting. May I have a motion to go into closed session? We have a motion by Vice Chair Thompson, and we have a second by Member Barnett. And off with the microphones, and Julie will get us set up.